Assalamualaikum everyone. We would like to present our wishes entitled Students' Perception Toward the Ethic of Using Artificial Intelligence (AI) in Higher Education. Before we begin, let me introduce our group member. My name is Nur Azira and together with me are Aina Fatini, Nur Fatin Fatina, Nur Aisyah Kristina and Nur Fazana Aina. Without further ado, let's begin our presentation. Artificial intelligence or AI has become increasingly integrated into higher education and widely used by university students. AI tools such as ChatGPT, Grammarly and other intelligent learning systems help students complete assignments, conduct research, generate ideas and improve their learning efficiency. However, despite this benefit, the use of AI also raises several ethical concerns. These include issues related to academic integrity, plagiarism, fairness, transparency, data privacy, and students becoming overly dependent on AI. Therefore, it is important to understand student ethical perception toward the use of AI. This can help promote the responsible of AI and support universities in developing appropriate guidelines for its academic use. Based on this, our study examines student ethical perception toward AI by investigating difference according to AI usage, frequency, gender, and problem statement. The increasing use of artificial intelligence or AI in higher education has raised ethical concern among students, particularly regarding academic integrity, fairness, responsibility, and the ethical use of AI. Students' ethical perception may differ based on factors such as AI uses frequency, gender, and field of study. However, there is limited evidence on whether these factors significantly influence their ethical perception. Therefore, this study examines the relationship between AI usage frequency and ethical perception and compare ethical perception based on gender and field of study. This study has three objectives. First, to determine the relationship between the frequency of AI usage and student ethical perception. Second, to compare student ethical perception between male and female students. Third, to compare student ethical perception based on their field of study. Use a quantitative research design. Primary data were collected from university students through an online questionnaire created using Google Forms. The questionnaire consists of three sections. Part A, demographic information. Part B, frequency of AI usage. And Part C, Likert scale item measuring students' ethical perception toward the use of AI in higher education. So the collected data were analyzed using appropriate non-parametric statistical tests to address the research objective. Next, we use the Spearman's rank correlation test to examine the relationship between the frequency of AI usage and students' ethical perceptions. This test is suitable because it measures the relationship between two ordinate variables and does not require normally distributed data. For the manual calculation, we first rank both variables, calculated the differences between the ranks, and then obtained the Spearman's correlation coefficient, which is approximately 0.1078. Since this value is lower than the critical value of 0.362, we fail to reject the null hypothesis. This means there is no significant relationship. Results obtained using Google Colab show a correlation coefficient of 0.099 with a p-value of 0.6036. Since the p-value is greater than 0.05, we again fail to reject the null hypothesis. Although the manual encoding results are slightly different due to tight ranks in the data, both methods lead to the same conclusion, which there is no significant relationship between the frequency of AI usage and students' ethical perception.
We want to compare students' ethical perceptions towards AI between male and female. So we use Man-Whitney U test because we want to compare two independent groups between male and female based on the data. Next, all scores from both groups were combined and ranked from smallest to largest. And then we got rank sum for male is 220.5 and the rank sum for female is 244.5. The sample size for N1 is 16 and N2 is 14. So from the Man-Whitney U test formula, we obtained U1 is equal to 139.5 and U2 is 84.5. We chose U2 that is 84.5, the smallest value, and then we compare with U critical that is 64. Hence, we fail to reject H0 at alpha 0.05. Therefore, there is not enough evidence to state that the distributions of students' ethical perceptions towards AI between male and female are not allowed for run the Man-Whitney U test. So we got U statistic 84.5 and the p-value is 0.2586. That is p-value is greater than 0.05. So the decision is we fail to reject the H0. There is not enough evidence to state that this distribution of students' ethical perception of AI between male and female are not.
The Kruskal-Wallis hash test. This test was used to determine whether there is a significant difference in students' ethical perceptions towards AI based on their field of study. This test is appropriate for comparing difference among more than two independence groups and does not require the assumption of normality. Since there are four independence groups, mathematics, history, art and Malay, and the data are non-parametric, the Kruskal-Wallis test is the most suitable method. The null hypothesis states that the distribution of students' ethical perception score is identical across all fields of study. Meanwhile, the alternative hypothesis states that at least two fields of study have different distributions. After ranking all the data, the calculated H value is 3.2412 at a significant level of 0.05. With 3 degrees of freedom, the critical value is 7.815. Since 3.2412 is less than 7.815, we fail to reject the null hypothesis. We conclude that there is no statistically significant difference in students' ethical perceptions towards AI among the different fields of study. In other words, students from mathematics, history, art, and Malay have similar ethical perception distribution regarding the use of AI. Results generated using Google Colab. The hash statistic is 3.2412 with a p-value of 0.35.
In this part, we'll be talking about interpretation and implication. In our previous answers, we can say that no significant relationship between AI usage frequency and students' ethical perception. So, the implication of it, universities should promote responsible AI usage throughout ethic education and clear AI guidelines rather than relying on AI usage experience alone. Next, Man-Whitney U test. we can say that there is no significant difference in ethical perception between male and female students. So the implication is the same AI ethic police and awareness programs can be implemented for all students regardless of gender. Last but not least, Ruskal Walhesh test. The answer we got is we have no significant difference in ethical perception based on field of study. So the implication of this test is universities can implement the same AI ethic guidelines and awareness programs across all fields of study. There is no significant relationship between AI usage frequency and students' ethical perceptions. No significant difference in ethical perception based on the gender. No significant difference in ethical perception based on field of study. Students generally share consistent ethical perception towards AI regardless of AI usage frequency, gender, or field of study. Higher education institutions should continue promoting responsible AI use, ethical guidelines, and academic integrity.